Hey there, Pythonistas, friends, design scientists. This is where we left off, more or less, in the last video, or in a recent video, maybe not the last one. I'm going to pick up on PhotoStream and go forward from here and tell stories and keep it both acting locally, thinking globally, as we've talked about. So one of the things going on is Operation Pop-Up. And in connection with that, and you'll probably have this problem maybe sometime, you'll want to have videos showing on some kind of loop where you can jump from one video to the next. And there's a good open source video player called mPlayer, and this is a Python module, third party, open source GPL for controlling mPlayer from Python. So the player class goes through all the work of taking the arguments you might give to mPlayer directly and passing them through to mPlayer in the context of a Python process. And I think there's threads going on here too. So if we look at my spider script, this is the script I've been working on the left. I'm not going to run it here because it's actually running on Windows and this is a Mac. So I just copied the code here to show what I'm working on. So let's go back to the slideshow and move forward. So I'm with my uncle. We'll start on Facebook. Here I am talking about core geometry again, the Oregon Curriculum Network, and I'm linking to my uncle because in this comments I say, some obscure spatial geometry content coming from Oregon via the web. I also teleteach in various states. Always on the lookout for other teachers using the same nomenclature. Actually, I don't mention Bill anywhere here. That must be somewhere else. I talk about, oh, here we are. Gallery visit this morning. Helped unload supplies from China behind the U.S. Customs House. Uncle Bill, author of Beneath the Surface. So that's where I need to put my link to Beneath the Surface. So I'll copy it from here and link it there. And it doesn't really need to be where it was, which was linked to my Oregon Curriculum Network. I'll go ahead and delete it from here. That was a mistake to have it connected there, I think, just in terms of not being too confusing. So back to the pictures now. So Uncle Bill comes down by train from Seattle. He's like 94. And I'm driving there in the car to meet him. And so we're going, let's see, are we going forward or backward in time? Sometimes I get confused as to which direction is forward. Okay, so here is working on that same thing with mPlayer, trying to get it to work. This is the bus that continues on to Eugene. If you take the train to Portland and you want to go to Eugene, you might end up on a bus. There are trains, but a lot of times they run a couple buses down there. They're nice buses. Union Station is gorgeous. They keep it very polished. They keep it very shiny. All the glass is always kept very clean. And, you know, there's a lot of people pushing with their hands and stuff, so you have to clean glass a lot to keep it that way. But you can tell people just getting off the train when they've never been there before or they're not trying to conceal how impressed they are. They're really looking around like, wow. So then I picked up Bill at the station and we went right to the gallery. And he was like, his memory is not that great anymore, so he was like being reintroduced to flextegrity all over again, which is good for my slideshow because then I can explain it if I want. Because it was all new to Bill, even though we've talked about it and I've showed it to him before. Now there's this bagel place playing on the New York theme. If you know New York, that's exactly how the stations look, right? So they're playing on that New York theme and doing breakfast bagels and stuff right next to the gallery. So I could get some bagels there. Here's the tetrahedron that Sam had shipped to RISD that time. That's the Rhode Island School of Design. This is like our counterpart sort of convergence here, where we're talking up sort of similar concepts. A lot of those are the florets there, a lot about flextegrity. So to build C6XTY, I get two sets of 3 panels. By panels, I mean the skull sections, you could call them, and 4 discs for each 3. So actually 8 discs and 6 panels. So there's 3 panels held together with 1 disc. And the thing is, there's 2 ways to sort of join the 3 panels, and if you don't do like left and right handed, they won't fit together in a ball. You have to take it apart and start again on the second half. And here's Bill putting in the discs at the end of the day with the Bowery bagel there. So we each had half a bagel, didn't leave any crumbs. Okay, this is a shot of C6XTY through a tube. Came out pretty interesting. And I have a lot of photo op ideas for this gallery. This is part of why I'm glad to have a key and get to take some. So Sam showed up. This was kind of an unplanned rendezvous, but it was great because I could help him unload some supplies. So this is behind the U.S. Customs House downtown. Sam's doing a victory dance, kind of. He's in a good mood today. This is not an open gallery, so if you come by, don't expect to be able to go in at this point, right? So there's Tom's menu. I was talking about Tom's in a recent video because we're doing place-based education. And I was going down nearby Division Street, parallel to Hawthorne, south of, in Portland, and talking about the Greek restaurant Tom's. And here's the menu, because I promised that a Greek menu or Greek diner has a lot of options on the menu. There's a whole breakfast menu on the back side that I'm not showing, but that's what I had, is breakfast, as did Bill. So this is Tom's restaurant once again, Boyd's Coffee, good coffee. Now what does shellback mean? It means you've been over the equator. I think from the north to the south. So if you're a northerner, as most people are, just because that's where most of the mass is, continental-wise, and you've gone over the equator, they say when and at what degree latitude. So 130 west, longitude. Obviously 0 latitude, but at 130 west longitude on 2nd September 1944 is when Bill went over the equator. Now, of course, it was very unusual in those days to do that because you had to go by ship usually. Airplanes were not that common. Nowadays, when people first cross the equator, most likely, statistically, they're in an airplane of some kind. Now at Union Station, they have this like obelisk where they're showing on a loop, kind of like I'm going to do at the gallery, same idea, a loop of sort of security people making sure that trains are safe. Now there's only so much they can do. This is in itself kind of a deterrent. They're showing dogs and all this. These are 2 people feeling safe here. Just looking out the window, everything's going to be fine. Here's an actual baggage handler. That doesn't look too safe. And there's the station again. They have little skits also. Like, it's partly still pictures, but they also have this little dramatization is, you know, if something violent starts happening. Those are the phone booths where the phones used to be. The sign points there, and you can see a phone off to the right, and actually 2 of the booths do still have payphones. But that's it, 2 out of, you know, maybe 10, 8, whatever. So technology moves on, right? People carrying phones now. That didn't used to be. And so they have this skit about if, like, shooting breaks out, you got to run for cover. So this older guy here, gray hair, silver hair guy like me, he's like running for it. And they hide behind a pillar. Him and this other passenger, they're like staying calm and calling 911. So that's what America's like. It's kind of on edge, always TSA. We've kind of become a national security state, right? So there's Bill going off to the Coast Starlight. It's a double-decker, and amazingly was a little bit early, coming all the way from LA. Here it is. We're ready to go on to Seattle. And Bill, he had a ticket for a later train, but he decided to get the earlier train. And I went off to Fred Meyer's at that point, having left him at the train. So Bill wrote, as I said, beneath the surface, right? So this is about, in a way, how World War I began, in that once everyone had submarines, they had to think about what to do with them. And in a way, it's when the world became far less civilized, because it became okay for professional militaries to just target each other's civilians. It was no longer military fighting military and determining the outcomes of a battle based on the battlefield and generals and all that. It became firebombing each other's cities, which I would just say is terrorism. So submarines helped create this age of terrorism in which we live, where everybody's a target. You know, you just bomb civilians or sanction civilians, treat civilians like garbage because you're a hero, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, civilians don't get much respect anymore. And the beginning of the end was maybe World War I and submarines and all that. That's when things kind of fell apart and haven't really gotten back together yet. Humpty Dumpty's still all over the place. All right, we'll be talking again. Hope that was entertaining.